Speaking of curriculum, where do you deploy tinkering labs in the classroom? How does it fit your school's needs?
Since we just, well, the STEM, yeah. We will be, now that we have the kids, we'll be more organized how we're going to use them. Yeah. For us, it was just like, okay, we have science day coming up. We need this. You know, this is what we need. And from there, I think we all found uses for it. Like my electrical unit.
Right.
That totally perfect. You know. The battery. What is the battery? What is it known? It's the electric source. It's the energy source, and making a circuit. So we can use it, and that's what we're going to do.
I think, yeah.
As you know, we'll think about definitely each unit we're going to try. Like maybe the grade 4 unit, you have. We're going to think about how we're going to use it, but it's not 100% sure. I know how I'm going to use it, and I'm not sure if you guys.
I think very specifically in grade 4, one thing that my students were working on and needing a lot of hands from teachers or assistants to help with was just the concept of reading instructions and having a picture or a diagram and trying to follow the instructions based on that. There were a lot of people asking, or students asking questions about like, oh, what does this mean? You know, what does this line mean? And how does it apply to this picture? And I was going over just taking instructions step by step. There were some students who were like, it didn't work. And I said, well, if I look at what you've done here, it seems like you've completely skipped this step. So that part of the learning process was very important, and I think it was very helpful for their development in terms of just the ability to take in instructions and follow them.
I got it. As far as curriculum, it's Ontario curriculum at Columbia, so we don't get to decide our units. And what we can decide is how we can use what we're given. So electricity is perfect for me. That's one thing that we don't get to decide. Today we're going to do.
Okay.
So we have those 4 units.
Yeah, but we used some spare science classes and extra periods to give them chances to work with it before the actual science fair day, and then we gave them tasks to do on the actual science fair day.
Is there any time set aside in your curriculum for inquiry-based activities or open projects that's different from the science curriculum, that it's more for an inquiry?
Nothing that
really.
Just try to build it in.
Yeah.
I have air and flight second term, and just try to build it in. So give them a question. Inquiry is.
I like to put in research projects in terms of, or for things like social studies, and for writing, I gave just one large research project this semester, and I had them research and teach something about Japan in their social studies. Partially because the social studies curriculum that we work with is very heavily Canada-based, and some of the stuff doesn't apply to our Japanese students very well. So we modify what they're learning there and have them instead teach about, or I have them teach about Japan in the same categories, but with separate topics that are more relevant to their life experiences.
I think for me it's been kind of challenging to figure out where to put it into my science curriculum by term, just based on what we have to learn through the curriculum itself. But one thing that I always talk about and promote in our classroom is I always say focus on the solution, not the problem. That's something that we've been kind of focusing on every year. I think this is the perfect tool for that, is to have them focus on, here's the problem, how can I fix it, right? So we had like the bushings, for example, sometimes they were a little bit loose during the assignments itself. How can you fix it? Focus on the solution. So they would go back, put some paper down or whatever they did.
Sure.
They used the L
bracket.
The L bracket to keep the wheels in from flying off.
Yeah.
I mean, that was learning. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So they had a problem and they fixed it without me having to say anything. I didn't have to say anything about anything. That's why it was so amazing. I thought I would have to.
Yeah.
Like,
So
all
there's-
the students from 1 to, I have 23 students, they're all different.
Yeah.
And with science ability,
Yeah.
but they just went for it.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked it so much.
So another thing at Columbia, we promote like pillars of character and learning skills.
Pillars of
So
character.
things like collaboration, teamwork,
Oh.
fairness.
They're in the back corner.
Yeah, they're back there. So those are,
Wow.
Organization, initiative. Initiative, they showed initiative, which is very difficult for the students to show.
And hard to give them opportunities to demonstrate initiative.
yeah. So
Taking it
this
a
is
step
perfect
further.
tool. Yeah.
Taking it a step further that, I couldn't think of.
Mhm.
It was amazing. That's why,
And-
it definitely has a place.
Also, going back to my students who were hesitant to start even working on this, I didn't make it, optional. So they were all getting in there with their hands right away, and there was a lot of there were a lot of pillars of characters being demonstrated, collaborating and helping one another. Students who were ahead or found solutions to things were sharing them with one another. Back to the difficulty that some of my students have with reading instructions. The students were all collaborating and working with one another and figuring things out together. And so that was also a big part of the learning experience for them. Even students who sometimes complain about working in groups together or complain about certain other students were working together and figuring things out. So that was really, really good to see.
That's wonderful.
In the early days, I didn't let them combine, like have partners, because I wanted them to learn. I wanted to know if they knew how to do it. For our science day, you can have a partner on science day. And I went over to see Tom in grade 5, and they were putting the kids together, and I go, they can do that?
We were tinkering away.
So what we did though, we labeled every part, so 61, whatever, we have 60 of them, mine's 60, and they're all labeled so we could put them back together. But then they could make, something twice as big,
Yeah.
and twice as powerful, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I see things that I've never imagined kids create using a kit or combining with things they have at home. And I think that's one of the
Yeah,
benefits.
kids do.
You mentioned solutions, focus on a solution. And what if you put them in a context where each kid is tasked with coming up with their own solution? How did the kids respond to that?
For my guys they're very proactive with just kind of taking the initiative and like just going with it. It's not just in science class, it's in gym class, like you'll see next year. In gym class, I don't really have to do much, they just go.
Wow.
They don't need me. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the perfect class.
Yeah.
Here are my expectations.
Yeah.
Like morning routines, here you go.
They're
Closing
very-
routines.
Yeah, they're very
Come on.
selective. They're selective with certain things, but this one, they was just go.
Huh.
They're basically telling me like, stop talking, like, can we just go? And
Yeah,
they would go.
Yeah. I got
They
it
would
either
ask,
way.
oh, can we work together? And parents, I said, I don't see why not.
Okay.
We ran some questions by you when you came in about the battery, like combining battery packs and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah, so they're go-getters.
I think that demonstrates for me that you have a high level of comfort with giving children agency
Yes.
over their work.
I think that's
or
important.
what